can't get my mustard open.
Since you're not changing the C, just
Hello?
Ready? Ooh, I got a gavel, look at that. I'd like to call to order the Economic Development Council meeting, March 11th, 2021. It is 12:02. Susan, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Bob Breedlove.
Here.
Charles Parker.
Here.
Cindy Miller.
Here.
Ernest LaFleur.
Here.
John Chambers. Maria Davenport. And Tom Triple.
Here.
We have four.
Good. Item B is the consent agenda, which is the approval of minutes from the EDC meeting from February 11th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second.
So who was the second?
Tom. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Item C is presentations. Do you have anything?
I just want to introduce, so if y'all have not met Brent Allen, he owns Lake Tyler Marina and is also the president of the Chamber of Commerce. So we appreciate you bringing lunch out and.
Thank you, y'all guys.
meeting everybody.
Thank
So
you.
Brent's bringing a lot of energy to the chamber, excited to see what's gonna happen with that organization. Kind of building off some of the changes Zach implemented and then moving it forward, so. Thank you, Brent.
I appreciate it. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bring them in.
Burger's wonderful.
Thank you. Very good.
Yes, it is.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, item D is, number one, the agenda items update on business retention and expansion activities.
Almost a mayor and council out of habit, members of the EDC Board
Really?
of Directors. Just kind of an update on some of the things that we have happening. I think over time, we might lose sight of all the great things that are happening in the community, so we may try to make this a regular agenda item just so that we can keep talking about what else is going on. So I just introduced Brent Allen with the chamber. I think Cindy's a part of the chamber, and I know Charles, you're a part of the chamber Board of Directors. I know they're really kind of getting amped up to do some vision work and really kind of set their plans for the upcoming year, so that's great. At Tuesday night's council meeting, the city council approved a municipal reimbursement agreement for some utility line adjustments at the corner of Acrotap and 110 to spur a development project that's gonna happen at that corner. So we're very excited about that, and we're in the process of trying to get a groundbreaking scheduled with that developer for that project. And if you haven't driven by out at where NextGen is located in the old Amercool building, they're doing a tremendous amount of work on that site. I don't know, it's crazy how much work they're doing out there and investing in that facility. So that's exciting to see. We have a dentist office that's gonna move into the old Jasper Veritas building up on 110. So they're in the process of that. I know Susan got plans this week for those things. And then, of course, our residential growth continues to blow and go. I don't know how else to say it. Between Manchester Heights, it's broken ground, Sunny Meadows is continuing, Forestdale continues. I met with another developer for a project right outside of the city this week. And I think we even have the firm that bought the dirt pit from Mr. Rockmore has a sign up now saying that they have pad sites available. So I haven't had a chance to discuss with them what their plans are, but they're looking at doing some sort of project out there as well. So we've got a lot of great things going on, and I think we see them, but we don't always realize how much we've got going. So it's exciting stuff. Susan, did I miss any big projects that you can think of?
The only thing I didn't hear you say was Hagen Oaks.
Oh,
I'm not sure just how far they've gotten, but I know they have broken ground.
Right. Right, that's all I have on that one.
Oh, And if I may, I'm sorry,
Oh,
the Brookshires, they have expanded slightly. They have a new curbside delivery
Area.
Yes, that they're doing.
Good.
Wow. And all that despite the fact that the price of lumber has gone up dramatically. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to add to business retention, expansion activities? How have the sessions, the education sessions,
Small business development?
yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So we had one in March, we ended up having to cancel, we had one in February, we ended up having to cancel the one for March, because I didn't have enough people sign up early enough. I had several people try to sign up late that would have made it enough, but they just didn't sign up early enough. But the first one, we had probably 8 attendees, I think, so it's been well received, and we're gonna continue those through June, I believe, so. One particular individual really got plugged into the SVDC. They're looking at trying to build a building, whether it's here or not, I'm not sure what their ultimate decision will be, but it's a good opportunity for us to make some good contacts and show that we really are open to having businesses locate here. So.
Okay,
Can the chamber help promote that anymore?
I think so, yeah. I'll send over
Okay.
the flyer and stuff. So.
anything else? No. Okay, let's continue our discussion on broadband availability. We've been talking about this for, seems like a long time. But John is not here.
He's not, I'm not sure. He was planning to be here, so I don't know if something came up at the last minute or if he can still come in. We'll see.
He's kind of the guru on all of that, because he was the one gonna reach out to a couple of entities, as I recall, and talk about that, specifically the city of Farmersville.
I reached out to East Tex over in Henderson.
Uh-huh.
The only contact I have over there is someone that's in the finance part. And I didn't get much farther than that, other than he said they'd be interested, but he wasn't sure who I should talk to. So I really don't have a very good update on that, but maybe it's worth talking to somebody over there in Henderson.
I was wondering about reaching out to EDCOG.
So EDCOG has a broadband project that they're working on, but it is, last I heard, it was in the very preliminary stages. I mean, they were just trying to get it up and off the ground. So I'll reach back out to David Cleveland and just kind of make sure I understand what their project is and the scope and what they're trying to accomplish. A couple of things though, since our last meeting, I know that Mayor Wansley, while he was at East Texas Coalition Day in Austin, had some preliminary conversation with Senator Hughes on some things they would like, that he personally would like to see for broadband legislation. We are also in the process of scheduling a Zoom meeting with some city officials in Mont Bellevue. City of Mont Bellevue was the first city in the state of Texas that had a municipally run and owned broadband utility. So they have some contacts in that field and kind of, whether we look at running it as a municipal utility or not, they have the contacts with maybe some engineering firms and some of those things that could help us maybe develop a fiber map of what we have, what might be needed, some of those kind of tools that we would need to look at going forward. I know Mayor Wansley also made some contacts for potential data center information that I think he sent to both Charles and I, so we'll look at those a little bit. And then there's also some legislation both in the House and the Senate, House Bill 5 and Senate Bill 5, that would make some significant contributions for both rural and urban broadband, I believe. So we're watching those. We just had a webinar on proposed legislation, so we're keeping an eye on all of those things. I expect after we can get that meeting set up with Mont Bellevue, hopefully we'll have a better idea of maybe some next steps to look at those things. So, it's
Yeah,
exciting.
there's gonna be a lot, there's a hyper focus on rural broadband in this legislature this year, so there's gonna be more than just a couple bills that are gonna come out for it.
House Bill 5 and Senate Bill 5 right now seem to be the leading bills related to that.
Yeah, we gotta remember, if it does go down the road of a municipally owned, joint use agreements, stuff like that, making sure we have all those in place.
You know, there's a huge driving factor behind that, and that is the schools. With being in school, being out of school, okay, we've had days we will work from home, educate. There's gonna be mixtures of that going forward, I feel like, where, you know, so in the rural areas, the personal hotspot only goes so far. There's people that don't have that even. And so I think there's some challenges, and that'll be a motivating factor for the legislature. There we go.
And I would also say going out to Connected Texas, if you haven't gone out to Connected Texas, if you've got poor broadband at your location, at your address, filling that information out, because right now they do a lot of this based on what the FCC says, and the FCC does it by the census block. So if one person in that census block has a gigabit up and down, they consider that whole census block a gigabit up and down.
Wow.
And
Oh,
so
my.
Connected Texas is trying to narrow that down into the actual locations where that is. So you can go out and fill out information at your address, and they're getting more accurate maps out there.
I'm wondering is there any way we could, you know, advertise that?
That's what I was just thinking, maybe we need to put something in our newsletter.
Newsletter and put it on the EDC site, Facebook page, whatever. Get that info out.
It's important because White House, it shows the entire community of White House gig up, gig down. And that's just not true.
Right.
So,
Does the city, does the school district have fiber between their campuses or anything? Does
I
anybody know?
think so.
Yes.
Wonder who provides that? Who built that for them?
Sprint. They got
Verizon?
5G.
Verizon at one time kinda had a bunch of that in White House.
is it? It's not Frontier now.
Yeah, Frontier bought all of that.
Maybe it is.
Frontier bought all of Verizon stuff in this area.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, they got all of it. The DSL system. And of course, we've got that Starlink is starting, and that's actually supposed to be starting the beta here in 2 or 3 months. And that'll be 300 megabytes per second, that low orbit.
I signed up for it.
Huh?
I signed up for it.
Yeah, I signed up for it too. But we'll see what happens. That's what they're saying though, somewhere around May.
Yeah. I still think there is a need for more providers. I think there's enough of a market there that some people will not want to use necessarily satellites. They may want a different, you know, access point that's a little harder.
I mean, if you can get out fiber, that's the best, there's no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
Yeah, and, well, let's circle back around and wait to hear from John on a couple of his follow-ups, advertise that out there. I don't know, what else can we do to maybe move us along a little bit? I feel like we're going at there's the speed of government, and then this is maybe a little slower than that.
The speed of really bad internet service, dial up.
Dial up. I'm waiting for that squeaky noise.
I think at least my delay right now has been, I don't know what the next steps need to be or what they are. So, I can follow up with, like I said, Mont Bellevue, with EdCog, and kind of see, what we need to do there. But as of right now, it's just, I don't know what our next steps should be, so.
And a lot of it's gonna be, I'd be worried about doing something immediately when the legislature passes something that could help us out.
Yeah. Well,
And
but
that's
there's
short-term.
that, but I'd like to have more information to know, you know, if they pass something, what options that we could do so that we could be a little bit proactive with it.
Absolutely.
You know, and I don't totally trust our legislature to do everything. Did I say that loud?
I think that was nicely put, John.
So my understanding of the bulk of House Bill 5 and Senate Bill 5 right now is to establish a rural broadband office, which we all know how long that could take to get up and running and provide some funding for, but if they provide any funding, they're gonna want it to go through that office, so by the time that gets established and set up, it'll be a long, drawn-out process, but, so I'm open to any action items you may have. Right now on my list, like I said, is to contact Mont Bellevue and EdCog to see where they are, but aside from that,
ISD, the White House ISD, what they're, how they do it.
yeah,
If it's our own private,
I'm pretty sure it's their own private,
Yeah, I know it's their own.
after talking to John Chambers, sad he's not here today, one critical piece would be to map what fiber is existing in the area. And so to understand what is even available or not, so, I could follow up with him and see how we would need to go about doing that.
And I still want to talk to the city of Farmersville. And I want to find out how they put all that together. And what's worked, what didn't work, what's, you know,
So I was looking at another city, the city of Salina, has done a lot of broadband work, but they put a lot of onus on developers to install fiber in their communities as they build them. Just like they require a sidewalk, they require fiber connectivity of at least a gigabyte when they put in the neighborhood. I thought that was interesting. So there are some cities doing some innovative things and requiring some different things to ensure, at least moving forward, that new development is well served. But I don't know that those laws keep up with technology very well either, so,
changes too fast.
yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts? Okay, item 3 is consider future agenda items. Has anyone reached out to us, asking for help?
Not lately. I did meet with a landowner in the Town Center Main Street district last week. And they have some interesting notions of what support the city or EDC should provide. But other than that, no.
Okay,
So, I do think,
maybe the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, maybe the other way to look at that, is there anybody that you feel like that, any way that we should be engaging our business community in a different way that maybe we need to talk about? I'm putting that as their future agenda. Notice how I twisted that around.
Okay. I think I know where you're going with that, so.
Yeah.
do we know if the net RMA moved forward with the land purchase or not?
Last I heard that it was expected in like the fourth quarter of this year.
Okay.
So, I haven't heard an update since then, but I wasn't expecting to just yet. Oh, also the city council, this is a factual update, so I can give it without it being on the agenda. The city council did reapprove the tax abatement policy at their meeting on Tuesday, so that has to be approved every 3 years and reaffirmed. They did make some changes. I think part of the policy that had been approved previously was probably taken straight from the Tyler EDC policy, so we did take a few things out, like that our focus would be primary employers and certain industries that were preferential. I don't know that it really matched the community. I don't think we care if a business is moving from outside of Smith County. I think if they're moving from anywhere, Smith County or not, we'd be excited to have them. We don't care if
Right.
we cannibalize on Tyler's businesses. So they did make some of those changes, but no, Mayor, I haven't had anybody really asking for incentives right now. We've just got a lot of projects going on. They're just not necessarily good EDC input right now, so.
Well, then that's the next question is, should we have a conversation about where we should be targeting and where the EDC should be moving forward?
I think that would be well worth it.
Here's a wild idea for you. A lot of, a number of cities have these, they're generally done privately, so I don't know if they're supported by cities or not, but these work hub places where, a place where you have high-speed internet and you can rent like individual rooms or cubicles or whatever with shared conference room if people need it, but it's for startups and small businesses that need a place where they can meet and get high-speed internet and do their Zoom meetings or whatever when they need them, but then and they pay a monthly fee, but they don't have to, rent a full-blown building and everything. And those seem to have gotten really pretty popular.
Yeah,
They've got one over off Broadway,
right.
and it's a very popular item over there. So,
But it's a way of starting to get a little entrepreneurs thinking about maybe a location out this way rather than Boise and Tyler or something. I don't know whether there'd be enough demand or not, but it's a way of getting some new creative business activity going in your area.
Mayor Wansley and I had discussed something like that in the past, and of course, the city doesn't really own any
Yeah.
property to facilitate that. So
I know if we had some unused facility that we could. Like this building here, perhaps.
let's put that on the agenda and have a conversation about it next time. Talk about, I think it's a internet incubation center.
And some of them it's a fee, and if
It's
they
an
can't do a
incubation,
fee, they can even, they'll get 1% equity or something. If the thing takes off, you get a little interest in things, which you may or may not wanna mess with, but I don't know, it's a way of spurring activity.
I know that other chambers have talked about that when they build that are building new businesses that I've been a part of. They've talked about how do they build, a chamber office, and then on the front side of it have a business incubator as part of that facility. And so I'm involved in one right now where that's what we're looking at doing is creating one of those in the front side of the chamber office.
Yeah, if we could get that and a computer chip manufacturer here, that'd be
awesome.
That'd be just awesome. There's a massive shortage of that right now.
Data center.
Yeah.
Yeah, a data center, a computer chip plant, and a business incubation center.
A peaking
Yeah.
power plant would be
There you
good.
go. Or one of them big batteries that I was reading about.
Tesla battery plant.
Yeah.
We have one key thing though that some states can't offer right now, and that's a place they can build.
It's true.
And you're welcome.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's gonna become a commodity in shorter supply. My son, he's trained as a petroleum engineer, but he took a graduate program in big data and software engineering, and now he's transitioned and he's working with an outfit in California right now on a new business. But anyway, they're using one of those inoculator sites in Austin to help them with that, and the little companies transitioning from California here to Texas, like so many others, and that trend is just going to continue to snowball. I mean, that's no newsflash thing right here, but any way we can somehow get our toe into that, it would sure seem like it'd be a good thing.
Okay. Anything else for future agenda items? Okay, administrative reports.
Your financials look good, about $113,000 fund balance, and for the EDC, keep in mind, committed $25,000 for the net RMA project, so. That's where we stand. Sales tax continues to trend up. We're actually a little higher than we were this time last year, so. It's good stuff.
Overall, what is the trend on sales tax? Is it up like 10% or 5 or?
I'd have to go back and look.
Curious. I don't think that's gonna change much,
don't either,
even with everything open now.
Everything I've read, I think those shopping habits were in place long enough that most of that'll continue. I think, we're seeing retailers like Berkshire's expand their pickup options. I think we'll continue to see people not shopping in person as much.
I think it showed the possibilities. It was always gonna trend that way. It was
Right.
gonna trend that way no matter what, so I think it just acted as a catalyst,
Spin it up.
and so.
Well, I know for me, whenever I go shopping, by the time I get to the store's closed.
Right.
After I've worked all day and get home and maybe grab a bite to eat, and I go to the store and you're closed. I go to Best Buy to get a new phone, 7 o'clock, they're closed.
Well, and even, I know clothing retailers without dressing rooms open, well, I might as well order online, like,
Yeah.
why go into the store, I can't try it on anyway, so I got frustrated with that yesterday. So you might as well just order online and pick up, or have it shipped to my house.
Well, and I talked to, the gentleman that is over the management for Broadway Square Mall, and he said, I asked him, why are the stores not staying open later? Why are they opening from 11 to 7? And he said, we checked with the retailers and their businesses were not making enough money between 9 and 11 and 7 and 9 to offset the cost of being open. So they didn't want to stay open that late.
They can't afford this.
Yeah. They were making more money with the shorter hours, not having to pay all the employees.
Yeah. In Europe, it's been that way. I don't think it's ever changed. They're always had short hours over there. You go to England, and about the only thing open after 6 o'clock is a pub, maybe a few restaurants. That's it. I mean, you shop 9 to 5, and that's the way it works. I don't know what you do on Saturday and Sunday over there.
They got it better than banker's hours.
They really do. So, and they think we're workaholics.
Yeah, that's right.
I might agree with them.
I might tend to
Me
agree
too.
with them too. So,
So when we talk about what businesses maybe you want to target, or what, your priorities are, it'll be interesting over the long term. We'll certainly see it affecting brick and mortar retail. Where you would normally have a town center zoning that's right here, that may change. More looking at service industry or neighborhood services as opposed to what you would normally see in a central business district or a downtown area.
Can I ask a question about the sales tax in general? Yeah, well, I guess it was 2019 election that we had, where we set up the funding, and we took a $0.25 to fund. How has that worked for the city's budget, losing that $0.25? Have y'all been able to absorb that relatively easily? Maybe hard to tell.
I'm
with
probably
all
not the one to
stuff.
ask, because it had already been done by the time I got here.
the first year was really hard.
Yeah.
That first
Pretty
year,
tight,
yeah. I mean, because it took about 60 grand out of the budget that first year. Yeah. And so that was, we had to overcome that, and I remember that budget very well. It was that was the budget that was finished up when Leslie came, but, it was,
Good timing.
we had a bunch of computer expense that hit us that year. We had a bunch of licensing issues with the computer software that particular year, and a whole bunch of other things. And, but taking that 60 grand, you know, it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but to a city our side, that's a lot of money. And that was quite a hickey. And even though we kind of planned for it and everything, there were so many other things that hit that particular budget cycle. It was challenging. But we survived it, and we moved forward. And it's like anything else. It's sort of like when you have deductions set up out of your paycheck. Initially, you're like, "Woo," and then, you know, pretty soon you learn to live within it.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's not to say we couldn't use it. I mean, I can
Right.
lay down $1 million worth of needs right now that are all
Yeah.
legitimate needs, but.
well, and it takes, and that's the other thing. It takes time for this money to build up for us to be able to do constructive things with it. So, you know, but that's the reason we only took the percentage of
But you did, yeah.
that like we did instead of the whole thing, because we knew we couldn't handle that. But at some point, once we get this entity up and going, we're gonna need to go ask for some more
Yeah.
of that. And it'll require another public vote and everything that goes with that. But we kinda need to show what we can do over here, I think.
That's kind of what I was thinking, is we need to, like that
Like,
rails to trails type
Right.
of deal
Yeah.
is a good one. Whatever we decide to do, it needs to be something tangible.
right. Yeah.
And a lot of what, you know, a lot of towns, what they're doing is using that EDC money to buy property and then
Yeah.
use that as leverage to bring these companies in, so
I would love to do that.
that would be great.
That would be probably the biggest financial benefit to the city possible, would be acquiring real estate around town.
And that's just gonna take some time to get those fund balances.
It takes
where
a
they
lot
need
of
to
time.
be
That
to
takes
do
a
that, yeah.
lot of time.
I mean,
Well, especially if we saw there was some momentum of net RMA of that actually going through. And then if we could get some parcels of land somewhere around there that might be attractive for businesses to then take advantage of that trail system and everything. You know, that could really snowball if we can put those things together.
And don't, and the other thing that I think, you know, is a blessing and it's also painful is the price of real estate in the White House. It's a lot higher than it is in some other areas.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot higher.
Yes.
It's a blessing because obviously, you know, the value of whatever you got here is worth more, but when you start trying to think about making changes and development and that type of thing, it requires a lot more outlay. So, you know, I'd love to see something happen with those lots over there, for example, right across on the other side of the railroad, but, you know, that's a lot. So, good question, Bob. Anybody else? Any questions on the reports or anything? Okay, so just to recap, what have we got for next agenda that we listed there? I didn't write it all down, I apologize.
a discussion on engaging the business community, discussion on co-working spaces. We'll keep broadband on there just to keep us moving forward as best we can on that. Is there anything else, Susan?
I didn't understand what you said, your very first point,
Engaging the business community.
because I have what the EDC should target next, which would be
Oh,
that,
okay.
the hub, internet incubation center, and I'm adding broadband, you know, that you mentioned that. Did I miss anything?
Guess that's it, unless I missed something that,
No, that sounds good.
I think that sounds right.
Well, unless somebody's got anything else, do we have anything in executive session?
No, sir.
Okay, then, we're all the way down to item H, and we are adjourned.